The pyramids of Giza do not look like ruins. They look like something the desert refused to bury. For more than 4,000 years, they have stood on the Giza Plateau, older than empires, religions, and almost every memory we still understand. But the first mystery is not how they survived. It is why Egypt built them at all. They were royal tombs, but not only tombs. They were statements about kingship, death, order, and eternity. To the ancient Egyptians, a pyramid complex was part of a sacred system linking the living king, the dead king, and the world beyond. A stone path between the Nile Valley, the desert, and the afterlife. At Giza, that idea became larger than anything Egypt had ever attempted. The greatest of them was built for Khufu, the 4th dynasty pharaoh whose pyramid became the most famous stone monument on Earth. When it was finished, the Great Pyramid was covered in smooth, white limestone casing, shining under the Egyptian sun. What we see today is not the full original vision. It is the weathered core of a monument that once dazzled the ancient world. But the pyramid did not rise from magic. It rose from planning. Before the stones could climb, the ground itself had to be prepared, leveled, and organized. The sides were aligned with remarkable precision, facing the cardinal directions with a confidence that still amazes researchers. Then came the stones, cut, transported, lifted, and fitted into a shape meant to outlast generations. The old image of endless slaves and chains is misleading. Archaeology points instead to organized laborers, skilled crews, and a state powerful enough to feed and direct them. That may be more impressive than the myth. Not a simple story of chains, but a civilization mobilized. The Nile carried supplies. Nearby quarries gave stone. The state turned distance, labor, and landscape into one project. Most core blocks came from local limestone. Fine casing stones came from Tura. Granite for key chambers came from far to the south, near Aswan. The pyramid was not one mystery. It was thousands of solved problems stacked in a stone. And yet, the great question remains: how exactly did they lift and position the stones as the pyramid rose? Straight ramps, zigzag ramps, spiral ramps, internal ramps. Each theory tries to explain what the stones do not reveal. The answer may not be one method. It may have changed as the monument climbed higher. What is certain is that Giza was not chaos. It was a system. Inside, the mystery becomes quieter. Passages, chambers, shafts, and silence. The king's chamber is not grand in decoration. It is severe, simple, and almost frightening. There are no painted walls here. No golden scene of paradise. Only stone, pressure, and purpose. Above it, hidden relieving chambers were built to redirect the enormous weight of the pyramid. Even the empty spaces inside the pyramid were part of the design. And some spaces were hidden so well that modern technology is still revealing them. In recent years, scanning projects confirmed a hidden corridor near the pyramid's north face. Its purpose remains uncertain. It may help relieve weight, protect an entrance, or point to questions not yet answered. This is what makes the pyramids dangerous to the imagination. They are famous but not finished. Every generation thinks it has understood them. Then another passage, another mark, another void appears. But the oldest mystery is not hidden inside. It stands outside in plain view. The Great Sphinx watches the plateau like a guardian whose exact origin is still discussed. Most scholars connect it with Khafre, the pharaoh whose pyramid rises behind it. Others have proposed different royal connections, and that uncertainty has fed legends for centuries. Stories speak of hidden chambers, lost records, and secret knowledge beneath the Sphinx. But legend is not evidence, and that tension is exactly why Giza still holds attention. The pyramids were surrounded by more than sand. They were surrounded by a necropolis, a city of the dead. Queens, officials, priests, and nobles were buried near the royal monuments, close to power even in death. The pyramid was the center. Around it, status radiated outward. Death in Egypt was not treated as a simple ending. It was a journey that required preparation, protection, and precision. The king's body was mortal. But the pyramid complex was built to help make his kingship endure. That is why the pyramid's silence feels intentional. It does not explain itself. It forces every visitor to ask what kind of civilization could build it. And this silence made room for legends, treasure chambers, curses, lost knowledge, and impossible machines. But the real story is already extraordinary without inventing miracles. A society measured the earth, moved mountains of stone, and turned royal death into architecture. And Giza was not the beginning of pyramid building. Before Giza, Saqqara had already changed Egyptian architecture with the step pyramid of Djoser. Then came experiments, pyramids that bent, shifted, and taught Egypt how to build higher. The Red Pyramid helped perfect the true pyramid form. Giza then pushed that ambition to its most famous scale. Khufu's pyramid was the largest. Khafre's can seem taller because it stands on higher ground. Menkaure's pyramid was smaller, but it completed the visual rhythm of the plateau. Together, they turned the western desert into a royal horizon. For ancient Egyptians, the west was linked with death because the sun disappeared there every evening. But every morning, the sun returned, and that return mattered. The pyramid was built into that cosmic rhythm: death, darkness, return, and eternity. This is why the pyramids still feel alive. Not because they speak, but because they refuse to explain themselves. They have been measured, mapped, scanned, worshipped, feared, and misunderstood. Yet they remain larger than every explanation placed upon them. Perhaps that is their real power. They do not need to hide to create mystery. They stand in the open, and still the world keeps asking, how did they align so precisely? How did they move so much stone? And what did they understand about eternity that we have forgotten? The pharaohs are gone. The workers are gone. The white casing has mostly vanished. The rituals have fallen silent. But the pyramids remain, stripped, weathered, and wounded, yet still commanding the desert. They were built for death, but they became one of humanity's strongest signs of survival. Egypt built them to carry kings into eternity, and more than 4,000 years later, they still carry our imagination with them.